David Liberman, October 2, 1920. Buenos Aires, 30 October 1983. Buenos Aires was a relevant Argentinian psychiatrist and psychoanalyst. Biography. David Liberman was born in 1920 in Argentina. His family was constituted by musicians. He played the piano in the jazz orchestra of his father, Sam Liberman. The experience in the jazz band could have had influenced in the development of his proposal, since the jazz characteristics linked to the elaboration of it, where in an orchestra everyone might have a common base, moments of individual and collective interpretation are given, even complementary improvisations to the general artwork. There is a musician that indicates a leads, but the group is the one who creates. Then he studied medicine and psychoanalysis. He was a disciple of Enrique Pichon Rivera and developed his methods. Scientific background. His work for the doctoral thesis was the beginning of a long journey of investigation that established the basis of a new concept of psychoanalysis, in which the patient is approached from every possible aspects, it means, in its totality. To achieve this, he proposed to apply the method of Leopold von Ranke to the psychoanalytical analysis. For him, the method of analysis has to be divided in different parts: external criticism, internal criticism, synthesis, and histography of the disorder. The theory that constitutes the basis of this is the communication theory, and the disorder is understood as a disruption of the learning and communication process, producing a deficit of adaptation to reality. Amongst all his works, the most original has been his book in 3 volumes, Links to Cop, Interacción Comunicativo y Proceso Psychoanalítico. The author has been influenced by Soda-verse authors such as Roman Jacobson, Jürgen Rusch, Gregory Bateson, and Melanie Klein, which he gathered in his attempt to categorize the stylistic predominances in the verbal and nonverbal manifestations in the different types of patients. The styles approach. The proposal that Liberman does is to investigate the processes from a semiotic and linguistic perspective. He proposed to consider psychoanalysis as an empirical science, and sustained that it exists 2 possible researches during session: in the patient, and out of it, in the patient, the therapist, or the bond between them. He added that it is convenient to think each patient not as a separate unit but in connection with the therapist. He postulated also that the empirical basis of the psychoanalytic research is the exchanges between the patient and therapist, each of them with a combinatory of expressive styles, which cover the verbal and nonverbal terrain. Amongst the styles of the therapist and the patient, it could be given complementarities that improve the clinic work or missed encounters that disturb it. He described each patient as a combinatory of styles, with one of them dominant. Thus, he sustained that in the obsessive patient it predominates a narrative style, in the patient with anxiety hysteria, the dramatic with suspense style, in the patient with conversion hysteria, the dramatic with aesthetic impact style, in the transgressor patient, the epic style, in the depressive patient, the lyrical style, and in the schizoid patient, the reflexive style. In each case, it is possible to observe variations that accentuate or attenuate the stylistic pathological features. He presented also accurate descriptions of the main features of each style. Inspired in Freud's, Abraham's, and Klein's ideas, he sustained also that each style is an expression of certain drive fixation: primary oral in the reflexive style, secondary sadistic oral in the lyrical style, primary sadistic anal in the epic style, secondary sadistic anal in the narrative style, urethral phallic in the dramatic and suspense style, and genital phallic in the dramatic with aesthetic impact style. He also wrote books in collaboration where he continued the same theoretical and clinical orientation. The first of them, with David Moldavsky, was dedicated to the analysis of the ego ideal and the value systems. Others were destined to the child analysis or the failures of the symbolic capacity in psychosomatic perturbations. In the honor to his mentor, David Moldavsky designated as David Liberman algorithm the research method he created, useful for the study of wishes and defenses in the verbal and nonverbal manifestations, either in clinic or in social terrain. His work. Semiologia Psychosomatica 1947, La Comunicación and Terapéutica Psychoanalysta 1963, Links to Cop, Interacción Comunicativa y Proceso Psychoanalítico 1971. Psychoanalysis y Semitica, D. Liberman and D. Moldavsky. 1975 Semitica y Psychoanalysis de Neos 1984, D. Liberman, RFB de Perdetti, I Miravant and N. Wazerman. Del Cuerpo al Símbolo sobre Adaptación y Enfermedad Psychosomática 1986 D. Liberman, Igresano de Piccolo, S. Naborak de Demant, L. Pistiner de Corches, Pierre Reutemann de Wasco Voynich.